Hey guys, Lonnie, real alcoholic. All right, let's get into this fear part of our inventory. Notice that the word fear is bracketed alongside the difficulties with Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, the employer, and the wife. This short word somehow touches about every aspect of our lives. Okay, it was an evil and corroding thread. It tells us that it's set in motion. Okay, let's get this straight. Let me show you again. Evil and corroding thread. Fabrics of our existence was shot through with it. It set in motion trains of circumstances which brought us misfortune we felt we did not deserve. But did we not ourselves set the ball rolling? Okay, right here. My sex relations were interfered with. So I was fearful. We were fearful that Mr. Brown was going to get my wife. Okay? Um and that affected my self-esteem. I got fearful. Maybe I'm not good enough for my wife. Okay? So what happens here is I get into this fear and then it sets in motion jealousy. It sets in motion self-pity. It sets in motion anger. This fear will set in motion my character defects. And that's what happens. This is what this inventory is about. My instincts are threatened. I get fearful. And just like we read, it sets in motion trains of circumstances which brought us misfortune we felt we didn't deserve. But did we not ourselves set the ball rolling? So I set the ball rolling with my dishonesty. I was fearful. I was dishonest. I set this ball rolling. And then from anger, that led me to envy. Then that led me to some dishonesty. Then that led me to some self-delusion. All of this turned into a big spider web, a big jumbled mess, right? And I'm bouncing from one character defect to another. And that's causing me to act out in a certain way. Okay? So this fear's got to be dealt with. And here's how we're going to deal with it. We reviewed our fears thoroughly. We put them on paper, even though we had no resentment in connection with them. We asked ourselves why we had them. Wasn't it because self-reliance failed us? All right, it goes on to say that our self-reliance, we realize that of ourselves, of our own willpower, we could not guarantee that our social instincts would be met. We tried. And deep down inside, there was always this knowledge that of our own power, we could not fix this situation. We could not fix it with the wife, with the predator, with the rapist, with the job, with the government. We don't have the power to control or fix this. And we know that. So let's take some examples. Okay. Now I got this resentment, right? And it's affecting my character defect, my ambition, my security, my personal relationships, okay? What this person is doing or what this government's doing, what my employer's doing, right? If that keeps up, I get fearful. I might be homeless, okay? If this event does not change, if this event is not brought under control, there's a possibility I might be homeless. Okay. And so I ask sponsees, what if you are homeless? What if you do end up homeless? Well, that's definitely going to affect my personal relations. That's going to affect my ambition. that's going to affect my security, right? And so I ask them another question. Of your own willpower, if you do what you honestly feel is the correct thing, can you prevent being homeless? And we got to think about that. Well, no, I can be one of the best employees there is, but if the company goes out of business, then the company goes out of business. If they lay off everybody except the 5 people who work in the office, then we got 200 people laid off. And I can't prevent that. Okay. So this fear comes from the inability to guarantee and control the future so that it works out the way I think it should. That's where our fear is coming from, and that's where our anxiety is coming from. So why do we have this fear of homelessness? It's because I can't prevent homelessness. I cannot. There are circumstances that can happen in this life, even though I am a good, moral, hardworking, upstanding citizen. There are circumstances that can lead to homelessness that are out of my control. So I have to trust God. Let's try another one. All right. We got this event. We got something going on. It's affecting my self-esteem, my personal relations, and my sex relations. What I'm fearful of is I'm fearful of rejection. Let's say the second wife issue, okay? I'm fearful of rejection. Not just the second wife. I'm fearful of rejection from my teachers, from my spiritual leaders, from my sponsor, from my friends. I got this fear of rejection, okay? Why do I have that fear? Deep down inside, I cannot prevent rejection. I can be a good, upstanding, moral, outgoing, loving person and still get rejected. So of my own power, I know I am fearful because I cannot control the outcome. Even though I do it to the best of my ability, I cannot guarantee that people will not reject me. And so therefore I am fearful. I am anxious. I am constantly trying to arrange life so that I don't get rejected. And that's a miserable place to be. So by doing that, so my fear of rejection, what am I going to do? The third step told me I may be more gracious and more kind out of this fear of rejection. I may not stand on my own 2 feet and say what I honestly feel is a truth, or honestly feel that maybe we are doing something that's making a mistake. Because if I say something, somebody might reject me. And so I cannot be my own person. I am constantly trying to fit in with other people. And that leads me to insincerity, which is a character defect. I am insincere with these people about my true feelings, about my true thoughts, because I fear if they know that, they are going to reject me. And so I'm running this false image of myself by these people. And I'm doing everything in a character defect that will try to prevent this rejection from this person. And when we operate in these character defects, it sets the ball in motion. People see our insincerity. People see our cowardness. People see our self-pity. People see our clinginess, our jealousies. People see that. And all we're trying to do is we're just trying to prevent rejection. I'm scared of it. What's going to happen if somebody rejects me? If I don't have trust in God, then I'm thinking the whole world's going to reject me and I'm going to be alone. And it'll be just me and this God I don't understand. So let's take another one. Death. All right, man, this is a big one. Death certainly is affecting my security and my ambitions. Okay? So something's going on that if it does not change, all right, if this situation is not put right, there's a possibility I might die. It could be a cancer. It could be some other illness. It could be a situation going on like war. Okay, it could be, there's all kind of circumstances that could put us at the risk of death. So we're afraid of dying. Why is that? Well, if I die, I cannot guarantee what happens after death. That's my fear. I cannot control, I cannot predict, I cannot guarantee what happens after death. I can be hopeful all day long. I can keep my spirits up. I can hope for the best. But in reality, deep down inside, I know that of my own willpower, I don't know what's going to happen after death. I don't know if my death is going to be extremely painful and suffering, or if it'll be nice and easy and I just fall asleep. I can't control that either. So this being out of control, this selfish nature we have to be in control of everything, so that my basic instincts, all right, are secure, that they're met, that they're fulfilled. These fears will lead us into a character defect, because I will jump into a character defect to try to secure my instinct. So we have to trust God. We will go through this a little bit more later. But this is what happens, is relying upon ourselves, like the book told us. We know deep down inside we cannot rely on ourselves. We don't have the kind of power to prevent death. We don't have the kind of power to prevent rejection. We don't have the kind of power to prevent homelessness. We do not of ourselves have the power to satisfy these instinctual, God-given basic instincts. I'm scared of tornadoes. Why? I can't control it. What happens if there is a tornado? I might die. I can't control what happens after I die. You see, fear after fear after fear. All right, being laughed at. That's another fear. Man, I can tell you, in the 6th grade, I told a little story. We were having a presentation where you had to get in front of the room and tell a story. And I was going to do this Jack and the Beanstalk thing. And I was going to role play when I was reciting Jack's part, right? I would squat down like I was a little bitty man, right? And when I would do the Giants part, I would stand up and puff up and get real big. Well, that little girl Rhonda laughed at me, and let me tell you, I was sweet on Rhonda. And when she laughed at me, my heart sank. I got tears in my eyes. She was not impressed. And I can tell you guys, as much as I talk, those of y'all that know me well, I'm a talker. Public speaking now, no problem. All right. I get a little bit anxious now because I'm a little more careful about what I want to say. But today I don't have that problem. But let me tell you, for years, man, I was scared of being laughed at. And so why was I fearful that somebody was going to laugh at me? Somebody was not going to approve of me. is because I cannot control it. I cannot control how somebody accepts me. I cannot control their reaction that I wanted to produce in them. I have to trust in God. I have to trust in God that if somebody's laughing at me, they're going to be a good friend and they're going to say, Lonnie, man, that's some stupid shit, right? And we're going to have a laugh about it and we'll move on, all right? If I run across somebody that says, Lonnie, that's ignorant. Why are you saying that? You don't know what you're talking about, da-da-da-da-da, and they want to get into a big old long out debate, okay? That's okay too. You don't agree with me? You don't want to hang out with me? You're laughing at me because I drive a PT Cruiser. I can tell you, I get laughed at about my little PT Cruiser with all my carpentry tools in the back. But if that's going to determine our relationship, I have grown past that because I have trusted God that I might make a mistake. I might do something silly. All right? But God will put me around people and put people in my life. There will be people that accept my mistakes, my quirks, my faults, right? And these people that can't, I don't need to worry about them. So my fear that these people are going to laugh at me, I have to trust God. And Rule 62, I have to laugh. There are times when I do some stupid shit. Okay? And it's laughable. All right, let's try one more. My ambitions were threatened because of this certain extent. What's this fear all about? Why did I jump in fear? Well, I feel like I got more talent than an everyday warehouse job, just taking inventory. I got way more talent than that, man. I could do a lot more with my life than this. Okay, so where's the fear coming? Because you know what? I can't guarantee my success or a career change. That's where the fear's coming. And out of that fear, I would jump into a character defect on my job. I could maybe try to be conceited and put the other coworkers down because they're not as good as me, right? This false pride. I could try to attempt to do things that I'm not quite qualified for just so somebody would recognize me and my talents can be used. Or I could jump into self-pity, right? And then be standoffish and be bitter towards these people. I could be envious of the manager because the only reason he's there is because that's the nephew of the boss, right? And so I could get into all these character defects just because I'm fearful that nobody's recognizing my talents and I'm not being compensated for my true talents. So no matter how hard I try, deep down inside, I could stay on that job and do that same job. And I cannot make somebody give me a promotion. I cannot put out applications, send resumes for better careers, and guarantee that I'm going to get that dream job I've been looking for. I don't have that power. I cannot create that. I cannot make that happen. And some of you guys that practice some stuff about this positive thinking and this law of attraction and all of that, there is a certain amount of truth to that. But there is also a certain amount of truth that it is not guaranteed that your positivity is going to make something turn out well. Whenever we did that third step, we're going to quit running the show. Of our own power, we cannot make this show come out beautiful. We cannot. We're going to trust in an infinite God who has a plan, has a purpose for our lives, and is trying to guide us and lead us to what is best for us. And I'm going to give up this control. I'm going to give up these fears. So in this job situation, okay, and pretty much any other situation, with wasted talent, with getting along with a group of people, with getting along with society as a whole, I got to trust God, and I got to find out what my part is. What is my part in this play? Okay, of our own power, we cannot control the outcome. That's the bottom line. And so we jump into a fear. So let's see how we're going to get out of this fear. Man, I'm running out of time. Okay. We never apologize for God. We let God demonstrate through us what he can do. We ask him to remove our fear and direct our attention to what he would have us be. So, what would God have us be? Instead of being prideful, God, please grant me some humility. Show me how to be humble. Instead of being envious, maybe I could have some compassion and I can enjoy somebody's success. Instead of being greedy, maybe I could have some generosity. This is where our character assets come into play. The opposites of our character defects, okay? Instead of being self-seeking, I can be self-sacrificing. The opposites of our character defects, they're going to come from courage instead of fear. When my instincts get threatened, all right, instead of jumping into a fear, I'm going to jump into some courage. And that courage is going to lead me into one of these assets instead of leading me into a character defect. So when I trust God, I have some courage. And that is how we ask him to remove our fear and direct our attention to what he would have us be. At once, we commence to outgrow fear. And I can tell you, my anxieties have pretty much dissipated. Sometimes I still have a little bit. Sometimes I get into fear. I get the shakes. My voice trembles sometimes, right? But it's not, oh man, I can't think of the word. It's not critical like it used to be, okay? I am not jumping into character defects, trying to control these fears of mine. I am trusting God. I have some courage. All men of faith have courage. And I ask God to direct my attention to one of the assets. And I ask for power to do what he would have me do in this situation. And we begin to outgrow fear. It's a practice. There's a reason why we practice these principles in all our affairs. It's a practice. All right, guys. I hope that gave us some clarity. And those of you with severe anxiety, I hope that helps. Take it easy. Talk to you later.